Hey everyone, and welcome to the OMG podcast. It's your host, Oscar Garcia, and today I want to talk to you about, simplicity. And the reason why I want to talk to you about simplicity is because today is January 1st, 2019. That's right, first day of the new year, so Happy New Year. And this is the time where many of us kind of go into this different mindset in terms of this is going to be the year, and we start writing out our goals and we start creating these grand maps of what we want to accomplish and what we're going to do, and we're all gung-ho about it because it's kind of like a reset, right? It's kind of like a restart. And so what ends up happening for many people is, unfortunately, 3-4 months down the road, they completely forgot about what their goals were, and they're actually regressing instead of progressing, right? So I want to talk to you today again about simplicity. Right. And the reason why is because I know you want results. We all want results with our business, right? We do what we do so we can grow our business, so we can generate results. And over time, we test different things out and we see what works and what doesn't work. And unfortunately, it seems like a lot of us just never seem to find traction. It kind of feels like we're just spinning our wheels here left and right. And the reason for that being is, I've spoken about this before, is shiny object syndrome. But besides that point, we ourselves make it much more complicated than it needs to be. And the reason for that is because we tend to compare ourselves to our competitors, to other people we like to see in our market, and we feel we need to do it just like them. Don't get me wrong, I'm a fan of harvesting, right? Don't reinvent the wheel, see what's already working and model it. But sometimes those that are working, right, the ones that you really like, have resources that are way beyond your means. So how do we create something that's going to help us grow our business, yet not lose all of our money in our bank account and still have a full head of hair when it's all said and done? And that's literally by creating it and keeping it simple. So the reason I'm talking to you about this is because I've been in your shoes. When I first started this journey, I was fortunate enough to be with a client who knew the value in investing in different programs and books and courses. And because we were working on it together, it was a business investment. But we definitely bought courses that we never even looked into. We probably racked in around $25,000 worth of education that we had tried to go through, that we had tried to digest and consume and implement. But for one reason or another, you don't. Right? Because you're trying to focus your business, and that takes time in and of itself. So then when do you make time to actually learn? So thankfully, him and I kind of figured out how to, balance it out, where I was able to actually digest all the information and implement it down the road. But still, not many people have that partnership, especially if you're doing this on your own. And for many of you who are just starting, that's what the journey might actually be at the moment. Don't worry, it's not always like that. It's just going to be like that for the moment. Okay. But nonetheless, we want to keep things simple. Okay. And I want you to put yourself into this mindset of less is more. Okay. Because having things be complicated, to be multiple steps, and having, landing pages here and software this and, merchant account over here. And it's like, what is going on? I just want to help my market. I just want to grow my business, but it seems like I need to jump through hoops. It doesn't have to be that way. Okay. So the reason why, again, my experience, I've had this, and this is kind of what I learned from that experience, is that in reality, less is more is not, don't think in terms of quantity, all right? Because less is more, you automatically think of quantity. I want you to think in terms of how can you make a bigger impact by doing less? It's kind of like the 80-20, the Pareto principle, right? Where it's like 20% are driving 80% of the results. So what's 20% that is actually growing your business, and how can you focus more on that? Okay. Because here's the thing. If you think that your business is way too complicated, right? And it's your business. Imagine for your customers, right? For them, it's beyond complicated, right? They don't even understand. And that's probably why many of you are having such trouble converting your sales, because the sales process might be too complicated the way it is at the moment, right? So what ends up happening is that the more confident we feel in our business, that confidence tends to, transpire, and tends to kind of melt its way through to your cold traffic, your warm traffic, your hot traffic, and they can see that because you're confident, they feel confident. At the end of the day, what you're really selling is confidence. Okay, that's really what you're selling. And so if you feel confused about your business, even though it looks really pretty, on the front end, if it's really complicated, your market's going to feel it, and you're not going to convert. You're not going to increase your sales, right? It's kind of like, when many of us start, we tend to follow these templates, And we feel like, okay, well, this template worked for this market and they had these results, so I should see similar results as well. We copy it, the template, we edit it around a little bit, and yet we see nothing, no results. Well, why is that? Because there was a lack of transparency, right? And you as your business, you have your own voice, you have your own terminology and things like that. And so you want to make sure that you're transparent as possible. And again, that goes back to keeping it simple and just talking to people and just letting them know. Look, the best sales pages, in my opinion, answer the age-old who, what, when, where, why, how. That's it. If you can just come across that, you have a pretty solid sales page. Right now, there's art in copy. There's art in using the right words. But at the end of the day, who, what, when, where, why, how, there you go. Okay, so again, keeping it simple. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and look at my notes here just to make sure I cover everything. But I also want you to think in terms of like survival. Okay, because again, when things are complicated, people have to spend more time thinking about them. Right, so I love this analogy of death by Netflix, and I probably overuse it way too much, but it's because it's true. How many times do you go to Netflix, open it up, browse, and spend 30 minutes trying to find something to watch? Right? A very popular movie right now is Bird Box, but if nobody was talking about it, what would you be watching? Right? Unless you have, you're binge watching Narcos or something, but nonetheless, you typically have a long time searching for something on Netflix because there's too many options, right? The same way, if you look at your checkout process and you have too many payment options, that might also be something that is preventing you from growing your business, from making a sale, because people just want to get their solution. Okay. And I see this all the time with pricing strategies. So like, let's say you have $1,000, it's $1,000 course or something. You can do 3 payments of $333 or, 2 payments of $495, what have you, because at the end of the day, the value is the same. But then there's some pricing strategies that do work, I might add, if you're doing it right, where it's like you can buy it for $1,000 now, or you make 5 payments of, $397, and the total price ends up being more by choosing the payment plan, right? So in those situations, it creates a sense of resistance to the customer. And the more time they spend thinking, the less time they have to actually solve their problem. So we're costing them their ability to survive. Okay, think of it as calories, right? Like, let's say we're out in the desert, right? And you have a bucket of water, right? And your people, your market are thirsty. They've been in the hot sun, right? What's going to help them? You telling them that there's water 10 miles away, or you taking the water with you and just giving it to them, right? Obviously the bucket of water, because after they refresh themselves, then you can say, all right, now you've had the refill, the 10 miles is the reservoir, go ahead and get it, right? But we have to think in terms of survival, and we have to keep things super simple. When you look at, again, I love watching like Discovery Channel and all those kind of shows like Dual Survivor, Naked or Afraid, things like that, because they show you how important simplicity is. Every movement you do needs to be planned. It needs to have a purpose. Otherwise, you're expending calories, right? So when you look at your business, look at your framework, look at your sales funnel, look at your onboarding process, look at all of that and see, is this serving a purpose? And if it's not, cut it out. Eliminate that step, okay? Eliminate it, because if it's not serving a purpose, then it's hurting you. It's causing more confusion to your market. It's making it more complicated than it needs to be, okay? Now, last but not least, the last thing that I want to talk to you about is keeping it simple is going to allow you to get them in and also keep them. Let's say you're running a membership site, right? People love to know that there's systems and processes in place. Otherwise, they feel like there's no end, and so they feel like there's no solution. So by keeping it simple and having a process, a system, telling people exactly what they need to do and how to do it, that's going to give them the value that they need, right? It's like, sure, there's a lot of great content on YouTube, right? Free content, but why do people still go and buy courses? The reason is because courses provide a step-by-step, plan of action where people don't have to think about where do I start? Where do I end? What do I do next? It's all laid out for them. All right. So that's it. I'm going to keep it short today. Happy New Year again. And just remember, when it comes to 2019, when it comes to implementing things for your business, keep it simple. Less is more. Okay. Less is more. Do that, and you're going to start seeing some dramatic results for you. See you in the next one.